Hey guys, it's Rodimus Primal. I am back with another video, and today I am finally bringing you guys my spoilers review for Transformers Bumblebee. I already did a non-spoiler review if you haven't seen it, so if you haven't seen the movie yet and you don't want to be spoiled, I recommend you either watch that review or wait until you see the movie before you click on, the rest of this video. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Consider supporting the channel on Patreon. With your support, you can help us bring you more content like this. Okay, so with this review, I think I'm just going to be rambling a bit. Just going to be talking about all the different cool stuff that I enjoyed about this movie. And I'm going to talk about some of the bad stuff. And as, Andre Meadows would say, and the nerdy. And just really get into the nitty gritty about this movie because I enjoyed the heck out of it. And there are parts that I can say, like, this movie could have been better here, could have been better there. There were certain parts where I was like, man, it just doesn't have the connective tissue that it's supposed to have. But overall, it was a good movie. The opening sequence was on Cybertron, and that was awesome. Let me tell you something. Seeing those Cybertron scenes, Optimus alongside Wheeljack and RC and, Ironhide and Brawn, and I think Cliffjumper was in the scene. There was a bunch of others, I'm probably missing their names. Ratchet, I think, was there too. And it was just really cool to see them on Cybertron fighting the Decepticons, and they were all like, a bunch of generic Seekers. There was Soundwave and there was Shockwave on Cybertron. And from what I've been told, and I found this out, obviously we all found this out now after the fact, is that the movie was like, Travis Knight wanted to put G1 Megatron at the fall of Cybertron. Like, fall of Cybertron was supposed to be like Optimus versus Megatron, and Cybertron falls and Bumblebee leaves. But then he's like, oh wait, I have to make this in continuity with Michael Bay's films, so Megatron is on ice. You can kind of tell, like, he's a Transformers fan, but he's not a Michael Bay Transformers fan, in a sense that, like, there's those designs, and yes, there's certain elements about them, but he's more of a G1 Transformers fan, much like myself. So he really tried to do his best to make Cybertron, like, alive. When you watch the first Transformers, the 2007 movie, and Cybertron doesn't really feel like this is a planet where the Cybertronians actually inhabit. It's more like the Fall and War of Cybertron games. Like, you actually feel like they live there. But the CGI was better. It looks like they improved upon the models from the trailers, so Cybertron does look better on film, on the big screen, seeing it in it's just awesome to watch. And when B comes to Earth, he encounters the Sector 7 people, and they're chasing him, and he instantly he scans a Jeep, and which I liked about this was that he scanned I think it's a tan Jeep, and he still turned into a yellow Jeep. He scans, and of course he scans a yellow Volkswagen Beetle, and at the end of the movie he scans a Camaro, and they're all yellow. But it would have been cool if the Camaro was like red or blue or something like that, and he still turned into a yellow Camaro. That would have been pretty neat, because it would have, kind of given my theory is that, like, Transformers try to keep they keep what they look like. They're yellow. He's yellow on Cybertron, therefore he's yellow on Earth. If he scans a blue, a Honda Accord, he'll transform into a yellow Honda Accord. So that's kind of like what I was figuring. And G1 Optimus, seeing him with the mouth plate move up and down on screen, that was beholden. I was ecstatic about that. I was like, wow. And and John Cena's character, it's kind of but he does bring a sense of, like, he's trying to how would I put it? He's trying to tell, like, the rest of the military, no, you can't trust these Decepticons. And the Decepticons, when they come in, like, they're on, I think, on a moon off of Cybertron. No, not off of Cybertron. They're moon off of Saturn, and they meet up with, they have Cliffjumper there, like, in their clutches, and they're ready to kill him. And man, poor Cliffjumper. Like he doesn't like he you know he's in Transformers Prime, and he's now in this movie, and he's killed like right away. I was like, ah, man, I really feel bad for Cliffjumper fans, because you know this could have been Cliffjumper's moment to shine. Maybe if he came to Earth and then was, you know, fought alongside B, it might have been a little bit better in my eyes. But instead he's killed like Kung Lao style. They slice him like right in half, and you're like, there's no way he's coming back from that. Kind of sucked. I was like, ah, man. But Shatter and Dropkick, as far as Decepticons, they're ruthless, they're cunning, they're smart, they're manipulative. And you know, they trick the humans into believing them, and they create the worldwide web. They create the World Wide Web. I am going into a lot of tongue twisters today, but that's okay. Tell Al Gore that you know, the internet wasn't created by him; it was created by the Decepticons, and not in a good way. So, the human family, you know, they were kind of annoying. You know, after watching it the second time, I was like, man, the human family themselves, they were a lot more annoying the second time around than I remembered when I saw it back in December 8th. And this time I'm like, ah, man, like they're really kind of annoying. I wish I don't like the mom. You know, the stepdad is like, he gives her a book about smiling. I'm like, really? Like, and these are kind of things that you know, you wonder, like, maybe this is what somebody in their 30s or 40s would think that their days when they were 18 probably went, and why, like, the family dynamic doesn't, like, you know, everybody's against you when you're 18 years old, and, you know, they don't want you to have a car, they want you to wear a helmet, and it's like, no, I'm an adult now. And so it's like that coming of age story. And, you know, I liked Charlie's character. I liked her connection to Bumblebee. But what I really hated was I did not like the fact that he did not speak through most of the film. I wish he lost his voice midway through instead of losing it like right at the beginning. Blitzwing comes in, and he's an F4 Phantom, and you know, he's the F4 Phantom that everybody's sitting there clamoring on about because they think he's Starscream, but he's not Starscream. He's Blitzwing, and he doesn't turn into a tank. He's just a jet, you know, and he opens fire on the humans, and he fights off you know, Bumblebee and takes out his voice box. And it sucks because we heard Bumblebee speak on Cybertron. We heard Bumblebee speak on Earth. He's like, I don't want to hurt you guys. And then they're like, you know, oh, we didn't call the Air Force. And he's like, that's not the Air Force. So like, Bumblebee knew, and he was trying to warn them. And I wish it wasn't Blitzwing who was the one who ripped out their voice boxes. I wish it was like Shatter and Dropkick. Like, that maybe this is where one of the things that I didn't like about the film was that they never mentioned Blitzwing's name, they never mentioned Shatter's name, they never mentioned Dropkick's name. And I'm like, you're going to introduce these Decepticons, we need to know their names. There should have been a scene in the middle of the movie where Dropkick and Shatter like meet Bumblebee, and they're the ones to take his voice box out, and then he gets away, and then they're still looking for him, and then they make friends with the government. That would have been better in my eyes. But instead they had Blitzwing, and they had, you know, Blitzwing gets killed. Bumblebee just takes, you know, opens up his missiles and just shoves one into his chest, kicks off and shoots it and blows him up, and he's in a million pieces. There's no way he's coming back from that. The way he blew up, it's, you know, there's no way he's going to get rebuilt. He's even more pieces than Cliffjumper was. So he's definitely not coming back from that. Neither are Shatter or Dropkick. They end up getting killed, of course, at the end of the movie. And you know, Bumblebee has a chain and wraps up Dropkick, and you know, and he's like, you can't, you know, these chains won't, and just, you know, boom, blows up into a million pieces. And he uses like a boat that crashes into something that knocks out Shatter. She gets, you know, killed that way. And I felt bad for them because, well, I wouldn't say I feel bad for them. It just sucks because they were really ruthless, awesome Decepticons. We finally get Decepticons who have more character than just, you know, spiky all over the place Megatron and sniveling, you know, I do what you say Starscream because I'm not G1 Starscream who doesn't, you know, try to backstab you. And all the rest of the Decepticons are just basically cannon fodder. No, these two Decepticons actually are they have a purpose, they have a plan, they're trying to do something, they're trying to reach B and trying to kill him, and they're trying to find, to stop, bring the Decepticon army to Earth. And it was really, really cool to see it on screen. I literally jumped out of my seat when I saw it on December 8th, and I was still jumping for joy when I saw it at the end of the movie, G1 Prime in his G1 truck mode with a trailer. He's a Freightliner. It's G1 Prime, and granted, Bumblebee gets rid of his Volkswagen Beetle mode and he becomes a Camaro and he rides alongside Optimus. But seeing G1 Optimus on screen in like live action was just awesome. Like, it was like my favorite part of the whole movie. Like, just everything about the movie was about the Transformers, but the story itself was all about Charlie and this guy, this kid Memo. And speaking of Memo, I liked his character. I really did. I found the little brother to be annoying, but Memo, I like he's reading a GoBots comic. I was like, really? They're going to make GoBots part of, live action film franchise continuity? Oh, and the other thing that's part of live action film franchise continuity is You've Got the Touch. So yeah, this is why I'm wearing the t-shirt, is because the touch gets played at the stupid sequence. I mean, the whole jumping off and bullying thing. I know it's high school. Those are the parts of the movie that just don't work for me. I don't really care about the plight of the humans and what they're going through in high school and what they're going through with like being bullied and stuff like that, because this is a Transformers movie. The movie is called Bumblebee. I want to see more about the Transformers. And that's kind of like when the movie like starts off really strong and kind of does this like, slow build, and like, of course you see the Decepticons there, and then it goes into the climax. And when it goes into the climax, it's awesome. Like, Shatter and Dropkick are trying to communicate with Cybertron to bring the Decepticon army to Earth, and Bumblebee is in action. And here is something that is really cool. One of the things that I enjoyed about the film was the action sequences themselves. You can see what's happening on screen. One of the things that you go back and watch Michael Bay's films and then go watch this movie, and you'll see what I'm talking about, is that everything is from shaky cam with Bay, worm's eye perspective. You're watching the Transformers from afar, or you're watching them from like in your face. It's almost like this. Here's your Blitzwing. Here's your Bumblebee, and you bring them to your face like this. And this is how Michael Bay plays with Transformers. You can't see what's happening on screen. You can't, and it's terrible. And I'm sitting to myself the whole time going like, I want to see what's happening, like, action-wise. I can't tell sometimes who's fighting who. And I don't like the robot designs in Michael Bay's films. This time around, the robots, you can tell what part of a vehicle they have on them. The best example I can make is on Shatter and Dropkick. You can tell, like, when they first scan the cars, they have their car parts. But when they meet the military, they see a Harrier jet and I think it's like a Twin Cobra helicopter flying overhead, and they both scan them. And when they transform into robot mode, they have those helicopter, like Dropkick has his helicopter bits on him, and Shatter has her plane wings and Harrier, things on her shoulders. And that's something, I want to talk about this is because I've been seeing this a lot in my comments, the Triple Changer video, is that Shatter is a Harrier and Blitzwing is the F4 Phantom. The two of them are two separate characters or two separate jets. And when I watched the movie the second time again today, I was able to really pinpoint out, like, yeah, that's definitely a Harrier, and that is definitely an F4 Phantom, because where the wing placement is and where like the jet intakes and stuff like that, you can tell that Shatter is a Harrier, just by the way that her jet mode is. But it's still, I like the fact that they were triple changers. I thought it was so cool to see them on screen. I really dug them as Decepticons. I would like to see more Decepticons portrayed like those two. Maybe in the future we can see more Decepticons just like that. I want to give a shout out to John Bailey, who did a really good job voicing Soundwave and Shockwave. He's actually done them before. I know he did Optimus in Combiner Wars, where Peter Cullen took over again for Titan's Return and Power of the Primes. Prime Wars trilogy is still garbage. We're not going. But he's also done like the Dr. Smooth videos. But he does a really good Shockwave, like a good Corey Burton. Basically, it's a Corey Burton impression. And he does a really good Frank Welker impression doing Soundwave. So, like, you honestly think that the two of them are, is what you're hearing on screen. I kind of was able to tell that it was John Bailey, that it wasn't Frank Welker, just because I've seen G1 so many times, and I've seen Dr. Smooth's videos so many times that, like, I can kind of tell, like, okay, that's this one, and that's that one's voice. But it was cool seeing them on screen. Shockwave looked awesome in my eyes. Soundwave ejecting Ravage was great, was fantastic. I honestly wonder if these new Siege toys that are coming out, like, they're almost in line with the Bumblebee movie. Think about this. The Bumblebee movie comes out, and you have the beginning of the fall of Cybertron, and here now you have these Cybertronian mode Decepticons and Transformers showing up. And granted that they're doing stuff that's G1 esque with the line, but the movie kind of like lines up with it in a weird way, and same. I would almost say the same thing with Transformers Cyberverse, because Cyberverse is another reboot where Transformers has Bumblebee without his memory. Here Bumblebee loses his memory in the Bumblebee movie. He has to get his memory back, and he has to like basically get his groove back in Cyberverse, and he has to get his memory back, groove back. He has to learn how to talk again through the radio in the Bay movie, which I liked how they did it, but I'm still tired. I am so tired of Bumblebee talking through the radio. I want to see him just have a regular voice throughout the entire movie. This is why I said if they were going to tie this into Michael Bay's films, he should have lost his voice in the in the middle of the movie. It would have been a better place for him to do so. And because again, Bumblebee is supposed to be the star of the movie, and it's like, again, I enjoyed the movie, but there are just parts of it where I feel like it was like they slowed down the movie a little bit too much. I liked him coming into the house and breaking stuff, and trying to figure out, like, okay, I can't fit here, I'm knocking into things. It was kind of cute, but that's the thing about this movie. It's a cute movie. It's a movie you can take your kids to. It's a movie you can take your wife to, and you all enjoy it. But the hardcore Transformers fan in me still wants like this hardcore battle that is pure G1 brought to life on screen. And that's where I think that they can go with this. Unfortunately, this is still set in the Michael Bay film universe. Lorenzo Di Benventura, I think is how you pronounce his name. Guy is like, I don't know. I want him to like educate him on what a reboot is. Spider-Man has reboot now like 3 times. And Batman has rebooted 3 times. Transformers can go through its first live action reboot. I think it's time for it. But he doesn't want to. Apparently, and I've been doing my research on this, he didn't want Peter Cullen voicing Optimus Prime back in the 2007 movie. He didn't want it. Michael Bay brought him in, and they didn't have another voice actor for Ironhide, and Peter Cullen was willing to do both Optimus and Ironhide. And you can actually look this up. It's archived on one of like Don Murphy's boards or something like that, where Peter Cullen was brought in and he voiced both Optimus and Ironhide in his audition, and Michael was like, just Optimus is fine. And Lorenzo whatever his name is, didn't want Peter Cullen at all. He's like, well, that's part of the old cartoon. We don't want this to be like the old cartoon. We don't want people who like the original show watching this. We want everyone else. And that's what really bothers me. I'm a hardcore old school Transformers fan. I want like what I love brought to everyone else, not what you think would be cool and then name slap it what I enjoy and then plop it out there. So if this is going to be part of Michael Bay's film franchise, fine, whatever. Maybe the next movie can be a full-blown reboot, or this one can be the start of the reboot, and the next movie can be G1 Transformers brought to Earth the way that we remember them, you know, with this, you know, Michael Bay aesthetic to make the Bay fans happy. And I get it. Some of you guys started watching Transformers from the 2007 films. I started watching Transformers from the 80s. I want something that I could be happy about and something that you guys could be happy about. So these are just my random ramblings about this movie. I still enjoyed Bumblebee. I thought it was a good movie at the end. I loved seeing Optimus in G1 form. You know, and there he was with Camaro B in the forest. It was so cool to see, and other Transformers are coming to Earth. This is why I think this is better suited as a reboot, is because they come to Earth in the 80s. How did they come to the Earth in the 80s when B apparently was in World War II? Unless what they're doing is they're saying, well, Transformers: The Last Knight doesn't exist. If Transformers: The Last Knight doesn't exist, then fine. But if The Last Knight still exists and it's still within this movie's continuity, there's a lot of messed up stuff in this continuity. This continuity is more messed up than G1, like way more messed up. And I'm tired. The reason I started my whole YouTube channel is because I've been pondering these things with G1 Transformers and Beast Wars for 20, 30 years. You know, and coming out with videos about this stuff. It's going to take me another 10 years before we can finally figure out how the Bayverse is supposed to work, unless they just reboot the darn thing. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Of course, subscribe. Check out my other videos as well. I got more Transformers discussion videos coming soon, so stay tuned for that. If you don't see anything else, have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And as always, guys, until next time, till all are one.